Hello world. I thought I would do a video explaining my experience on the Goenka Vipassana retreats, those silent retreats, because I've sat a few of them now and I feel like it would be really useful for people who are thinking about sitting one, people who are interested to hear some experiences, because I feel like it's very helpful to have that kind of stuff when you're going into something that's so unknown. I mean, what else in society do we have that's like a silent meditation retreat? It's so weird. And they are very intense. You're waking up at 4 a.m., you're meditating pretty much all of the day. I don't know if there's any research on this, but it's a very common anecdote that when you're concentrated in meditation, you don't need much sleep. So I was sleeping like 3 to 4 hours a night on this retreat I just got out of. And I mean, that's unheard of for me. I usually sleep 8 to 9 hours, and I was kind of shocked. I didn't know about that part of meditation going into it, honestly. And it was only when I got out and I told the other meditators who were just way more advanced than me, and they were like, oh yeah, that's normal. Don't worry about it. I will post the course schedule somewhere in this video. I'll just post it as an image because you see the schedule before you go into it, obviously. But you can find it all on the Dharma websites of the Goenka retreats. The whole retreat thing, there are culty bits to it. You should know that too before you go in. It's supposed to be non-sectarian, but there is a lot of order that's imposed when you go in. On my first retreat, they may have abolished this rule now because I didn't get told off for it recently, but on my very first retreat, they were very fixated on getting me to wear long pants in the hall. They didn't like the fact that I was wearing shorts in the hall and my knees were showing. That's not allowed. I got told off for walking on this most recent retreat, and you need to be completely dead silent all the time, which I understand. You need this order to make the retreats run well, but you should just be aware that it does kind of feel like a cult. Also, there are some strict rules that you have to adhere to, like not leaving. They don't want you to leave on these retreats, so they'll try counsel you away from it. Obviously, if they can see you're mentally breaking, they'll let you leave. And on my first retreat, I was sitting at the back of the hall because I requested a chair. And you look at the men over the front of the hall, which are on the left side, there are women on the right side, and over the 10 days, 80% of the men just trickled off because it is really difficult, and you get into these negative thought spirals that you can't escape because there's no distraction like there is in the external world, and you start realizing, oh my God, I've been using distraction to escape negative thought spirals and negative emotional states for my whole life, and I don't have that luxury now. You should be aware of how hard it is. I mean, I've cried on yeah, I was crying on this recent retreat in the hall and like sobbing like a baby. It's really, really rough, and it's very, very hard on yourself psychologically. It's also hard physically. Sitting for many hours a day is very difficult, and you do strong determination sits where you're just sitting for an hour and you're not allowed to move. Those are very painful. I mean, you'd be surprised at how painful it is just to sit. It doesn't sound hard, but it's like an athletic event. Go into it with a mindset that's anti-fragile, that you can always improve, that you can always overcome, and that whatever happens, you're going to be okay. Like a psychedelic trip. You want that kind of mindset. You don't want to be thinking of experiences that you have as bad or toxic or like triggering and things like that. Think of them as difficult. Think of everything as an obstacle to overcome on this path, and I think that will help a lot. You get these stats, like a certain number of these people who do meditation retreats have severe mental health problems initiated from the retreat. Not permanent, obviously, but at least for a few weeks or a few months afterwards. It's kind of like a psychotic break that you'd have after a psychedelic trip. There are all these sayings in the Buddhist communities, like no mud, no lotus, If a tree aspires to heaven, its roots must reach down to hell. All these sayings get at this idea that you have to go through a lot of suffering and pain and processing of difficult emotions to get the benefits of meditation in the first place. And yeah, there will be casualties, I suppose, of that, just like there is for the benefits of exercise. Like if you train in the gym, you lift weights, or you try to become a faster sprinter, you try to get your vertical jump higher, there are a certain number of people who get injured from that process. Even though it's beneficial in aggregate, it's kind of dangerous if you look at the outliers. I don't think you should let that deter you from exercise, and I don't think you should let that deter you from meditation. It's just part of the process. It's like anything in life that's valuable. You have to go through the pain. You know, the gym bros, they say, no pain, no gain. That's true. No pain, no gain. It sounds cliche, but that's because it's found in so many areas of life, including meditation. Now, the actual technique is magical. I mean, it is extremely powerful, and I know I sound like I'm proselytizing here, but I think that so many Westerners just have this idea that the only path to the good life is to earn more money, to get a job that's prestigious, work your way up the hierarchy, become popular, get a big house, and just have a lot of material success. And the technique kind of shows you that you don't have to have a life that's entirely contingent, entirely depends upon the story in your head that you're telling yourself. Like, the reason those material things feel so valuable to us is because they improve the story in your head. Life is much more bearable when you can say, you know, oh, I'm richer than my neighbor, and I've done so well, I'm so proud of myself, and I'm killing it in life. You know, I have all the success that I want. When you're running a positive story in your head, life is good. But the flip side of that is that if you're relying on the story, when you have a shit story in your head, you're going to have a shit life. So if you're thinking, you know, oh, why'd that person talk to me in that way? Were they insulting me? Or you're thinking, oh, you know, I just got laid off at work, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, or I've got this roof leak and I'm stressed about it, I need to fix it immediately. You know, if you're thinking these negative thoughts about life or stressful thoughts, your life will be bad. You will experience extreme negative emotion and live a shitty life. Meditation simply allows you another path to leave that story, to just witness it, see it for what it is, arising as just another object of consciousness, and find peace despite the story you're running. And I know that sounds like some hippie, abstract, find peace despite the story you're running, like that doesn't really make sense. Once you just witness that story for what it truly is, and you see it for a story, it's kind of like you've been engrossed in this scary play, like a Shakespearean play that you're in the audience of, and you were just engrossed in the play, you were feeling all the negative emotion, seeing the characters die, and then all of a sudden you see that you're sitting outside the play, and it's just this beautiful show out in front of you. And that's what it's like progressing, I guess, on the path that you're given in these retreats. You see it for what it is. And that's what Vipassana means. It means clear seeing. So it doesn't matter if you're thinking. The goal of meditation is not to get rid of thoughts. And that's beautiful, because you can meditate permanently. You can just be meditating continually. And I guess that's the goal, is to meditate in the shower, when you're eating, when you're sitting down and like filming this video. If I pay attention, I can actively meditate and see the train of thoughts and witness it as it's kind of flopping out my mouth. yeah, so I do find value in the technique, but there are casualties. That would sum up my thoughts on meditation. Extreme value, but that doesn't come without risk. Now, should you do a retreat? I would just do it if you're interested in the nature of mind, if you want to find out about this life. That's why I decided to do it ultimately. Like, I'm so interested in this world around me and experience as it is, and there are a lot of delusional ways of perceiving the world that you cut through with meditation, and that's what ultimately drove me to it. It was like the pursuit of the truth rather than pursuit of well-being per se. I'll just say this one thing. The last day you do a different technique called loving kindness meditation or metta meditation, and that is easily one of the most valuable things about the retreat. It is such a beautiful day. You sit there and you focus on the whole day. You focus on all the beings in the world and you just wish them well. You cultivate feelings of goodwill and well-wishing towards them. You wish them happiness and peace, and you wish that they're free from suffering. You feel this deep in the core of your being, and you cultivate this feeling not just for the people you like, but for the people you don't like, for the people who have wronged you, people who have done harm to you. And on that day, you could just hear sobs and tears just radiating through the hall from, not just the female side, the male side too. And these are not just, like narrow-shouldered granola boys who are crying, which you might expect on a meditation retreat. These are like, strong men who are crying, and strong women who are crying and pushing past so much resentment, animosity that they've felt for other people, and just dropping that. And that's just so freeing when you are able to do that. It's such a beautiful thing. And I think if you're gonna go, like, that's worth it. That one day is worth it just on its own.
What a person sees in somebody else is what's really latent within them. So every person is a mirror.
So yeah, would recommend. If you go, I wish you all the best, and let me know how your retreat goes if you end up doing one. How old are you?
I'm 83.
83?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How does it feel? How does it feel? You've mastered...
Feels terrible, yeah.
But you've mastered being human. You're at the peak
I
of
haven't
wisdom.
mastered anything. As I said, I don't know anything.